The South China Sea at 9:33 a.m. near Scarborough Shoal was a specific shade of turquoise over the reef and deep blue beyond it, the visual contrast that made the shoal's boundary legible from the bridge without a chart. The reef was Chinese-occupied since 2012, the occupation disputed by the Philippines and invalidated by the Permanent Court of Arbitration's 2016 ruling, a ruling China declined to recognize. The water above the reef was administratively contested and physically occupied, and on this particular Tuesday morning, the immediate environment of a U.S. destroyer conducting a freedom of navigation operation that had been planned, coordinated, and communicated to 7th Fleet and to the U.S. Embassy Manila 3 days before the destroyer arrived at this position. The CCG vessel had been tracked since 8:17 a.m. when it had departed its holding position northeast of the shoal on a heading the CIWS officer had logged as transit, and the captain, reviewing the morning picture at 0800, had logged in his own assessment as intercept pending. The CCG vessel was the Haijing 5901, the largest China Coast Guard cutter in service, 12,000 tons displacement, 165 meters overall length. Larger than the destroyer, heavier than the destroyer. White hull with the China Coast Guard stripe, multiple communications arrays, and, mounted forward of the superstructure on a raised platform clearly visible at 2 nautical miles, the water cannon installation that gave the Haijing 5901 its reputation in every fleet intelligence brief covering Chinese maritime operations in the South China Sea. The water cannon was rated at military-grade output, not variable stream civilian firefighting systems. A focused, sustained high-pressure stream at a range exceeding 100 meters, capable at close range of displacing personnel on an open deck, of penetrating lightweight superstructure materials, and of drenching sensitive electronic equipment with salt water. Salt water on radar antennas, salt water on communications arrays, salt water on electronic systems that were designed to operate in maritime environments but not to receive sustained high-pressure brine immersion while in active use. At 9:34 a.m., the CIWS officer updated the contact picture. Bridge CIC. CCG contact, now designated Sierra 1, bearing 047, range 3.1 nautical miles. Speed 12 knots. Course 220, direct intercept with our position. CPA estimate 400 yards. Time to CPA 14 minutes. Sierra 1 is the Haijing 5901. At 9:36 a.m., the captain stepped onto the bridge. He walked to the radar display, confirmed the CPA projection, confirmed the contact's identity, and looked through the bridge windows at the CCG vessel, a large white shape at 2.9 nautical miles, the stripe visible, the water cannon platform visible as a darker structure above the forward deck. I have the con. CPA to Sierra 1, 380 yards. Time to CPA 12 minutes. The destroyer was $2.1 billion and 287 crew. The Haijing 5901 was rated at approximately $600 million replacement cost. The strategic cost of what its water cannon could do to the destroyer's aft radar arrays, the SPY-1D phased array radar, the SLQ-32 electronic warfare system, the satellite communications antenna cluster, was not measured in replacement cost. It was measured in mission degradation. A destroyer with saltwater-saturated radar components was a destroyer whose operational readiness had been reduced by a Coast Guard vessel that had not fired a weapon. That was the calculation the CCG was making. The South China Sea at 9:36 a.m. was being watched. The Philippines' West Philippine Sea Monitoring Network had the contact picture. 7th Fleet had been receiving the destroyer's real-time data package since 9 a.m. A Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, P-3. Orion, on a surveillance pattern 80 nautical miles northeast, had the contact on its surface radar. The encounter was not private. At 9:38 a.m., Channel 16 opened from Sierra 1. Mandarin first, then English. American warship, you are conducting unauthorized operations in Chinese sovereign waters adjacent to Huangyan Dao. You are required to cease your current operation and depart immediately. The China Coast Guard is enforcing Chinese law in Chinese sovereign waters. Failure to comply will result in enforcement measures. Enforcement measures. The captain did not respond on Channel 16. CPA to Sierra 1, 330 yards. Time to CPA, 10 minutes. At 9:39 a.m., the first friction event arrived. The Joint Staff's message, marked urgent via 7th Fleet, arrived on the satellite command channel. Its substance, the Pentagon was monitoring this encounter in real time and expected a full report within 30 minutes of resolution. The final line. Be aware the Embassy Manila is monitoring. Philippine government is following this situation with interest. The captain acknowledged receipt. The Philippine government was watching. The specific strategic significance of a CCG vessel deploying water cannon against a U.S. destroyer. In waters the Philippines claimed was not a tactical consideration. It was the State Department's. His consideration was the salt water on his radar arrays and the 330-yard CPA in approximately 10 minutes. CPA to Sierra 1, 300 yards. Time to CPA, 9 minutes. The Haijing 5901 was visible without optical assistance at 2.3 nautical miles. The water cannon platform on the forward deck was visible as a structural element above the forecastle, a mounted system on a raised platform, fixed orientation forward. At 300 yards, the Haijing 5901's water cannon was at range. The destroyer would not need to be precisely aligned with the cannon to be in its effective envelope. At 9:41 a.m., the captain authorized the Seahawk for launch, not for a position between the ships, not yet. The Seahawk was authorized to launch, climb to 400 feet, and establish a documentation orbit above the Haijing 5901, recording the water cannon platform, the vessel's approach geometry, and whatever happened in the next 9 minutes from an aerial perspective that could not be disputed. The Seahawk was also authorized on the captain's specific order to reposition if required. The Seahawk launched at 9:42 a.m. CPA to Sierra 1, 270 yards. Time to CPA, 8 minutes. At 9:43 a.m., the water cannon on the Haijing 5901 activated, not visibly, yet. The pump system's running, the pressure building, the system transitioning from standby to operational, were internal events detectable by the destroyer's electronic warfare suite as a hydraulic pressure signature. The EW operator. Bridge CIC. Sierra 1 has activated water cannon systems. Hydraulic pressure signature active. Systems are running. Water cannon is live, not yet deployed. Live not yet deployed. CPA to Sierra 1, 240 yards. Time to CPA, 7 minutes. At 9:44 a.m., the second friction event arrived through the navigation system. The Scarborough Shoal area demanded continuous navigational attention. The reef's submerged outer boundary extended up to 4 nautical miles in certain quadrants. At 9:44 a.m., the navigation officer reported that a 0.6 knot southwestward current set had moved the destroyer approximately 40 meters southwest of its intended track. At current speed and drift without correction, the destroyer would be 150 meters southwest of intended track by CPA. In the context of a water cannon system rated at 100+ meters effective range, 150 meters of positional variance was the difference between the stern radar arrays being in the cannon's effective envelope and being marginally outside it. The captain made a 3-degree heading correction to port, a navigation correction, logged as a navigation correction, that brought the destroyer back to its intended track. He did not explain the tactical calculation that informed its timing. CPA to Sierra 1, 210 yards. Time to CPA, 6 minutes. At 9:45 a.m., the water cannon deployed, not toward the destroyer. The stream activated and directed laterally into the open water between the two ships. A test. 15 seconds. Then secured. The EW operator. Water cannon stream has stopped. System still active. Hydraulic pressure maintained. They tested the stream. The test stream was visible from the bridge at 1.9 nautical miles. A white arc of high-pressure water projecting forward from the Haijing 5901's forecastle. Visible from the Seahawk at 400 feet. In the encounter record, CPA to Sierra 1, 180 yards. Time to CPA, 5 minutes. The captain made his second decision. He had made the first decision, the course correction, silently as a navigation action. The second decision was operational. He had been running the specific calculation since the water cannon test at 1.9 nautical miles. The test stream had told him two things. The system was operational at full pressure, and the crew of the Haijing 5901 were calibrating range before the operational deployment. They would deploy it when the range was right. The calibration stream at 1.6 nautical miles told him when right was they were checking effective range at the specific distance where the destroyer's aft electronics suite was in the operational envelope. They would deploy at approximately 1.4 nautical miles. He had 3 minutes. The question was not whether to respond. The question was with what. The fire control radar tracking solution told the Haijing 5901 that the destroyer was not indifferent to its presence. The CIWS barrel tracking the CCG vessel communicated the same message in a different electromagnetic language. These were appropriate responses to a warship-class contact applying direct coercion, but the fire control radar did not affect the water cannon's physics. The CIWS barrel did not affect the water cannon's range. What the captain needed was something that affected the water cannon's effectiveness at the specific moment of deployment, and what affected a high-pressure stream's coherence over a 100-meter range was the thing he had been thinking about for 11 seconds since the test stream ended. He had 29 years of sea time. In 29 years of sea time, you saw a helicopter's rotor wash on water frequently enough that the physics of what a rotor column did to the surface became intuitive. What a rotor column did to a water cannon stream in transit was an extension of the same physics. He'd never seen it documented. He'd never seen it in a doctrine manual. He had thought it through in 11 seconds and confirmed it was sound. He opened the intercom to the Seahawk pilot. Seahawk, bridge. Repositioned to bearing 265 relative to Sierra 1, range 50 yards, altitude 50 feet. Hold that position. Do not approach Sierra 1's forward deck. I want you between the ships. 50 yards from the Haijing 5901's port side at 50 feet, place the helicopter's rotor disc in the space between the water cannon's forward-firing arc and the destroyer's aft radar section. The physics were specific. A high-pressure water stream at 100-plus meters range was a coherent jet at its source that dispersed over distance. Rotor downwash from a helicopter at 50 feet, a high-velocity, downward-directed air column hitting a water stream in transit created turbulence that disrupted the stream's coherence. Not eliminated it. Disrupted it. A dispersed spray across 200 yards had dramatically reduced impact energy on any specific target compared to a focused jet. The Seahawk was not a kinetic weapon. It was a rotor downwash disruption system. The concept was in no published doctrine. It was a physical calculation made in the 11 seconds between the water cannon test at 1.9 nautical miles and the moment the captain called the Seahawk pilot. At 9:46 a.m., the Seahawk repositioned to the specified position. Its rotor was running. Its downwash created a visible surface disturbance below the rotor disc. The Seahawk was between the ships. CPA to Sierra 1, 150 yards. Time to CPA, 4 minutes. The Haijing 5901's bridge crew was looking at a U.S. Navy Seahawk helicopter at 50 feet and 50 yards from their port side, positioned in the space that their water cannon's operational geometry required to be unobstructed. At 9:47 a.m., a calibration stream, 10 seconds, directed toward the destroyer at 1.6 nautical miles. At this range, the stream fell short. The Seahawk's position was not yet between the stream and its target. The stream was secured. The data had been acquired. CPA to Sierra 1, 120 yards. Time to CPA, 3 minutes. At 9:48 a.m., the fire control radar entered active tracking mode on the Haijing 5901. The tracking solution was current and confirmed. The Haijing 5901's electronic warfare suite received the emissions. The vessel's EW operators would identify the emission type within seconds and notify the bridge. 2 simultaneous signals now arriving on the Haijing 5901's bridge. The fire control radar. You are inside a targeting solution. The helicopter at 50 feet and 50 yards. The space between you and the destroyer's radar arrays is occupied. CPA to Sierra 1, 90 yards. Time to CPA 2 minutes. At 9:49 a.m., the Haijing 5901's water cannon activated for the third time. Directed. The stream oriented toward the destroyer and activated at full pressure, visible from the bridge as a white-gray arc reaching outward from the forecastle. The stream reached the Seahawk's rotor downwash zone at approximately 40 yards from the Haijing 5901's hull and dispersed. The focused jet became spray. The spray continued toward the destroyer in a diffused, low-energy form. The aft radar arrays received moisture, not immersion, not the saltwater saturation that a focused stream at 300 yards would have produced. Mist. The radar arrays continued operating. The electronic warfare suite continued operating. The satellite communications continued operating. The stream continued for approximately 40 seconds. Then it was secured. At 9:50 a.m., the captain authorized the CIWS to enter passive thermal tracking mode on the Haijing 5901. The CIWS barrel oriented toward the CCG vessel and followed its movement. The movement of the barrel was visible from the Haijing 5901's bridge. The Seahawk simultaneously repositioned from 50 yards, lateral to 15 yards off the vessel's port bow at 50 feet, in the visual field of the CCG bridge crew, between them and the destroyer. Camera pointed at them. CPA to Sierra 1, 90 yards, holding. The Haijing 5901 had not yet altered course. The tel appeared at 9:51 a.m. The EW operator, bridge CIC. Sierra 1, water cannon hydraulic pressure signature is reducing. Not off, reducing. System is spooling down, spooling down. The system that had been at full operational pressure since 9:43 a.m. was reducing. The stream had been secured. The pressure was dropping. At 9:52 a.m., the Haijing 5901 adjusted course. 2 degrees to the north. The CPA projection, holding at 90 yards since the Seahawk repositioned, began to open. Sierra 1 altering course. 2 degrees to north. CPA now projecting 110 yards and increasing. 110 yards. Then 130. Then 160. The Haijing 5901 was clearing the destroyer's position, not rapidly, not dramatically, but the trajectory was unambiguous. At 9:53 a.m., the water cannon hydraulic pressure went to 0. Deactivated at 9:53 and 8 seconds a.m. Active for 10 minutes and 23 seconds. 1 test stream. 1 calibration stream. 1 operational deployment dispersed by rotor downwash. The Seahawk repositioned to the documentation orbit at 400 feet, recording the Haijing 5901's withdrawal track. The fire control radar returned to standby mode at 9:54 a.m. when the Haijing 5901 had opened to 300 yards. The CIWS returned to passive surveillance. By 9:58 a.m., the Haijing 5901 was at 800 yards and continuing to open, bearing northeast toward its prior holding position. Channel 16 had not transmitted again since the initial sovereignty broadcast. The water cannon was deactivated. The contact was withdrawing. No one on the bridge spoke for a long moment. The aft deck rating had been posted to the stern during the approach. He had seen the water cannon stream activate at 9:49 a.m., had seen it reach the Seahawk's rotor downwash zone and disperse. He had felt the mist. The South China seawater at 9:49 a.m. was warm and salt-dense, and the mist was faintly visible in the morning light as it drifted across the stern. The mist was not harmful. It was seawater mist on a sailor in the South China Sea. He had noted it and had remained at his station. The officer of the deck straightened his collar. It was damp. The mist had reached the bridge. He straightened it anyway. The helmsman had held course during the 3-degree navigation correction and returned to the original heading when the correction was complete. His hands were at 10 and 2. He had been on the wheel when the water cannon stream activated at 9:49 a.m., had felt the mist on the back of his neck when it reached the bridge, had registered it the way any sailor registered unexpected moisture, noted, logged internally, continued working. The course was the course. The mist was the South China Sea. His hands were at 10 and 2. The original Freedom of Navigation heading. The heading that the Freedom of Navigation operation required. His hands had not moved from that heading for any tactical reason. They had not needed to. In the CIC, the electronic warfare operator was completing the water cannon activation log. 3 events, cumulative active time 10 minutes and 23 seconds, hydraulic pressure levels at each event, deactivation timestamp. The rotor downwash tactical note would be entered as a separate observation item, not a doctrine reference because no doctrine covered it, but an observed outcome. At 50 feet altitude and 50 yards lateral separation, Seahawk rotor downwash disrupted water cannon stream coherence before the stream reached the target. Observed once. Conditions documented. Reproducibility to be assessed. The intelligence staff would determine what it meant for future encounters. The encounter record documented what it had meant for this one. The captain walked to the chart table. The encounter report would go to 7th Fleet, to the U.S. Embassy Manila, to the Pacific Fleet Intelligence Staff, and to the State Department's East Asia Bureau. The report included the complete water cannon activation log, the Seahawk camera footage of the stream dispersion, the rotor downwash tactical note, which would appear in the encounter record as a novel non-kinetic response technique with specific physics and specific applicability conditions, and the fire control radar activation data. Shot. Secure from heightened readiness. Seahawk. Full documentation of the withdrawal track, then recover on my call. Continue the freedom of navigation operation on current heading. Full encounter report to 7th Fleet. Include the water cannon log, the dispersion footage, and the fire control radar activation timeline. He looked at the chart. The track continued southeast along the shoal's outer boundary. Continue the operation. He looked at the Haijing 5901's position on the radar display. 900 yards and opening. Good watch. The record assembled here speaks in the language the ocean keeps. One China Coast Guard vessel, Haijing 5901, 12,000 tons, departed its holding position and established a direct intercept course with a U.S. destroyer, conducting a lawful freedom of navigation operation near Scarborough Shoal at 9:34 a.m. CPA at point of water cannon deployment, 150 yards. CPA at point of Seahawk repositioned to downwash disruption position, 180 yards. CPA at point of water cannon deactivation, 90 yards, then opening. Water cannon events. Test stream, 1.9 nautical miles, 15 seconds. Calibration stream, 1.6 nautical miles, 10 seconds. Operational deployment, 1.4 nautical miles, 40 seconds, dispersed by Seahawk rotor downwash before reaching target electronics. Effect on destroyer aft electronics suite, missed contact only. No saltwater saturation. All systems continued operation throughout encounter. Seahawk repositioned to downwash disruption position, yes, at 9:46 a.m. Altitude, 50 feet. Lateral position, 50 yards from Sierra 1's port side. Fire control radar activated in tracking mode on Sierra 1. Yes, at 9:48 a.m. CIWS, passive tracking, yes, from 9:50 a.m. Channel 16, sovereignty broadcast from Sierra 1, 1. U.S. destroyer response on Channel 16, 0. Sierra 1 course change initiating withdrawal, 9:52 a.m., 2 degrees north. Water cannon fully deactivated, 9:53 a.m. Heading maintained on original freedom of navigation track. Yes. Tactical course alterations, 0. Freedom of navigation operation continued. Yes. The South China Sea measures its arguments in water pressure and radar signatures, and the specific gap between what a water cannon can do to a radar array and what a helicopter's rotor wash can do to a water cannon stream. 60 meters of rotor downwash was not in any doctrine. The physics were older than doctrine. The encounter record contains both the attempt and the outcome. The freedom of navigation operation continued. The heading held.